Why would they give a historian of China a job to teach Chinese about America? That was a very peculiar decision. I'm Charlotte Furth, and I've written a memoir, which is called Opening to China, a Memoir of Normalization, 1981-82. My husband was at home. He needed to hear from me what I was doing. I wrote constantly. They were like field notes. I knew they were like field notes. And they were so detailed and so focused on my experiences that my husband even complained that it didn't sound like I missed him. But they now, in retrospect, they allow me to recover the voice and the perspective of that time. And so in doing the memoir, I tried to bookend it with today, but to have the bulk of the memoir be in the voice of someone in 1980. I was a mid-career historian of China at a time when the Cold War raged. Nobody could go. We could only go to Taiwan or Hong Kong, and that didn't count. And so when the Nixon and Carter administrations started to talk about opening China, we were all terribly excited. The Chinese didn't know what to do with Fulbright people. They weren't going to just turn scholars loose on Chinese campuses. They weren't used to having Americans or other Westerners running around the country. And remember also that Mao had just died, and nobody in China was really sure where things were going to go, what was going to change. So people inside China were very uncertain, and this opening diplomatic relations was part of the uncertainty. So the Chinese authorities decided they'd take these Fulbright scholars and they would bring them together with a group of young intellectuals who needed to learn about the outside world. And the American embassy said, what we'd like you to do is American studies. And so that's what I went to China to do. So the American embassy on the one hand is saying, you have complete freedom to design the curriculum that you want and to teach in any way you want. And then you begin to find that some things make them quite nervous and other things they're quite comfortable with. Some of the students are rather tense about it. There's official segregation. You have to live in this foreign compound called the Friendship Hotel. And the students are all on the Beida campus, and they're not supposed to fraternize with you. You are made very aware of the boundaries that are being established. They have political meetings that you hear about where they discuss what's good and what's not good about what's going on. And so there are these boundaries on both sides, and you're trying to navigate them in your interactions with the students. In retrospect, I can now see that the whole year I was there was one tense negotiation after another about the Taiwan issue. At the time, one noticed several things. First of all, our Beida minders did try to protect us from the public. There was a big public event at the Great Hall of the People where this was going to be discussed, and they just said to us, don't go. It's better if you stay with your classes. So we stayed with our classes. And then in November or December, we received a delegation of students. And the students came to us and said that Taiwan is one part of China, and you're working here in China as a friend of China, and therefore you really have to stand with us on this issue. And so we wrung our hands, but we understood that we were under discipline if we wanted to work there to be friends of China. And so we wrote a letter to the New York Times, which got published, which said that Reagan was not sufficiently sensitive to how important this issue was to the Chinese. And it was published, and then we were fine. We all had to confront the contrast between our rather utopian sympathy with the Chinese Revolution and the reality of China in the post-Mao era. And that was a kind of crisis for my generation in many ways, because so many of us had gone into the history of China or China studies because we wanted to bring China into a humane global order that shared our values. And that was clearly going to be a great deal more complicated than we thought originally. But I also came away loving the people. You know, these were wonderful people. They're not that opaque or inaccessible. You know, they live and love and work just like us, and that if I was going to write about it, I wanted the human story to come through.